In the early decades of the 15th century, the once mighty Marinid Sultanate of Morocco was crumbling from within. The dynasty that had once ruled over vast parts of North Africa and Al-Andalus was now a pale shadow of its former glory. Political assassinations, succession crises, foreign interference, and internal rebellions had reduced the throne of Fez to a dangerous and unstable seat. In this chaos emerged one of the most brilliant political minds of Moroccan history, Abu Zakariya Yahya al-Wattasi. Though he never wore a crown, never claimed the title of sultan, and never founded a dynasty in his own name during his lifetime, Abu Zakariya would become the true power behind the throne and the architect of a new ruling house, the Wattasid dynasty. Humble origins, grand ambitions. Abu Zakariya hailed from the Wattasid family, a Berber lineage of Zenata origin, closely related to the Marinids. Initially serving as administrators and military commanders under the Marinids, the Wattasids had risen through the ranks during the decline of the Marinid state. In the year 1420, following the death of Sultan Abu Sa'id Uthman Thufr, the kingdom was plunged into an intense power vacuum. The sultan had been assassinated, and his successor was a mere child, Abu Muhammad Abdul-Haq II, barely 1 year old. The court of Fez was in disarray, and civil strife loomed. It was at this critical moment that Abu Zakariya acted. He declared himself regent and guardian of the infant sultan, claiming to protect the throne until Abd-al-Haq came of age. However, this was no mere act of loyalty. In reality, Abu Zakariya became the de facto ruler of Morocco, a king in all but name. The Marinid court had become a puppet show, and he was the master of the strings. The true ruler of Morocco, from 1420 to 1448, for nearly 3 decades, Abu Zakariya ruled with a careful balance of force and diplomacy. His regency outlasted revolts, assassinations, and foreign threats. He maintained the illusion of Marinid legitimacy, keeping the young Abd al-Haq II as the official sultan, but all real power rested with him. During this time, he implemented administrative reforms and worked to reassert central authority. He maintained the capital, Fez, as the political and spiritual center of the kingdom, while reinforcing Wattasid presence in the provinces. However, Morocco remained fragile, and its cities were often isolated from one another due to tribal and regional rebellions. One of Abu Zakariya's greatest achievements was his ability to navigate between rival factions, Arab tribes, Berber clans, urban notables, and foreign enemies, all while holding the state together. Threats from within and without. Throughout his regency, Abu Zakariya had to fend off internal revolts from rival warlords and tribal confederations. Many resented his growing power and accused him of hijacking the Marinid dynasty. But he silenced dissent through strategic appointments, patronage, and, when necessary, military campaigns. Meanwhile, the Portuguese had begun seizing key ports along Morocco's Atlantic coast. In 1415, they took Ceuta, and by the 1430s, they were threatening Tangier, Asila, and other strongholds. Abu Zakariya attempted to resist these incursions, but the Wattasid-controlled state lacked the unified strength to launch decisive counterattacks. In response, he began to fortify the interior and negotiate with both local leaders and external powers. His foreign policy was one of pragmatism over pride. He would rather maintain the fragile Wattasid hold on power than risk total collapse through open war. The illusion of Marinid rule. One of the most cunning aspects of Abu Zakariya's rule was his preservation of Marinid symbolism. Coins were minted in the name of Abd al-Haq II. Official documents bore the Marinid seal. The khutbah, Friday sermon, mentioned the Marinid sultan. Yet everyone in Morocco knew that the true master of the realm was Abu Zakariya. He never declared himself sultan, never publicly broke the chain of dynastic legitimacy, but in all practical senses he had already begun the Wattasid takeover. His family members were appointed to key military and administrative positions, and the Wattasid name began to carry real political weight. Death and legacy. Abu Zakariya Yahya al-Wattasi died in 1448, leaving behind a kingdom still officially ruled by the now adult Abdul-Haq II, but one where the Marinid sultan was little more than a figurehead. His son, Ali ibn Yusuf, succeeded him not as regent, but as a ruler in all but name. The transition of power was seamless, a clear sign that the Wattasids had become Morocco's new masters. Within a generation, the Marinids would disappear entirely, and the Wattasids would reign officially as sultans. But it was Abu Zakariya who laid every stone of their foundation. Without ever wearing the crown, he shaped the fate of Morocco for nearly 30 years and paved the way for a new dynasty to rise from the ashes of the old. Abu Zakariya Yahya al-Wattasi was not a conqueror, not a caliph, not a founder in the traditional sense, but his genius lay in his patience, his subtlety, and his understanding of power. He preserved the kingdom when it could have fallen apart, and in doing so, secured his family's legacy as the next royal house of Morocco. His rule reminds us that sometimes the greatest kings are those who never take the throne, but whose influence bends history just the same.